Hey there, in this video training we are going to talk about all of the settings that are available in Beacon. So first we're going to navigate to the settings down here in the navigation, and you can see that you're automatically brought to your personal settings. These are the account settings that pertain to your personal account that you have control over no matter who you are. So this has to do with your personal contact info, your email, your time zone, etc. And now moving on to the organization tab of the settings. This is only available to admin users to actually get in and change, but here's where you can control the organization's information and what gets printed on sales orders and invoices. This is really important manufacturer brand information. All right, and then scrolling down, we can see more settings you can set up. So the date format for all of your documents throughout the system. What's the sales order form number? This will be printed on every sales order that goes out, so this should be tied to your quality system. The currency and starting invoice number are set one time at the beginning of your account, and then the default unit measure of weights throughout your system. And then we have a lot of custom settings that are available to set for your organization. I will note at the top of this discussion that the custom settings as well as the user settings are changing quite commonly. We're bringing out new features, we're rolling out new settings, or making adjustments to settings as we receive user feedback about how they're working. So while we're going to go through all the different settings and discuss what they do, you should peruse this periodically and take a look and see if there's anything new that has come out. Also, we send out emails every time there's a new release, so please pay attention to those and you'll find out about new settings that we're releasing. So the first one here is a weekly PO reminder. If you turn this on, every user will receive a weekly PO reminder with their outstanding purchase orders. This is great to keep track of events that are stuck in the middle of the pipeline but you haven't been paid for yet, and make sure no case gets left behind. In the next setting, here we are talking about initiating transfers from the field. If you have this turned off, users will not be able to move inventory from the field. They can only receive it from you. The next one is transfer email notifications, so controlling whether users receive emails about their transfers. The next setting is whether or not you want to allow sales and distributor users to reopen events. So after an event has been submitted for billing, a lot of the details get frozen and are not able to be adjusted anymore. For instance, the inventory that was sold. Reopening an event allows you to make those changes. It also allows an event to be marked as credit memo or credit rebill. So this setting controls that. The next one down is inventory adjustments. Do you want to allow sales and distributor users to add or deactivate inventory? A lot of people turn this off because they want to, retain admin control over inventory creation and manual deactivation. So this does not pertain to doing events. This is using the manual deactivate button. So turn that on if you want to give your users that control. This next one requires users to confirm that they followed all decontamination procedures before returning inventory from the field, and then it allows you to link to those decontamination procedures. The next one here is requiring users to associate inventory requests with events. So this is in an effort to make sure all inventory is only being requested for upcoming cases or in response to a case that happened. So this is trying to prevent wanton inventory requesting or building of stock when it's not warranted. The next one requires users to leave notes when items are marked with an in and out or a damage waste status. So just looking for some extra context. These next two automatically trigger the sending of a sales order email when a case is submitted for billing, or you can auto send the invoice when the PO number is added. These are really useful, and as long as you make sure you keep your facility contacts up to date, these work really well to make sure that those documents always get delivered. The next setting is only showing users the procedures that are assigned to the physician that they've selected when they're creating an event, so just helping you narrow things down. The next setting allows you to automatically set due back dates for loaned inventory, and we talk about this in our inventory loan videos. This comes up when a transfer is assigned to an event. That lets you automatically set the due back date to be a certain number of days after that event. So you can set the number of days here and turn it on. The next setting down creates cases without assigning a physician. This allows users to create the case without selecting a physician, but in order to submit it for billing, they will eventually need to select the physician. So this is kind of if like the doctor hasn't been assigned to the case yet. And then the next one here is the setting up the discrepant custodian, which is what we use when we're reconciling your inventory audits. We find that rebalancing your inventory is important. So, if inventory is off in one place, that means it's off somewhere else. So a positive balance in one place means a negative imbalance somewhere else. And so we use a discrepant custodian as a clearinghouse to remedy those imbalances. So we might transfer inventory to the discrepant custodian to pull from it later, rather than creating and deactivating inventory in order to get your inventory correct. So down here at the bottom of the settings screen, you can set up daily digest email jobs and who gets the emails for inventory requests within your organization. And then if there are any manufacturers you buy inventory from that you want to make sure are getting billed as your manufacturer. So think of this like white labeling situations or any situation where you own the inventory now and you want your name to be on the invoice and the sales order. You can select the manufacturer here so that that inventory gets billed as you. And then we have some systems information down here at the bottom that you can always check into if you need to. Now heading over to the user section, we can take a look at these user settings. So user settings vary based on the role. So first we'll run through the operations account, and then we may just start getting a little faster as we get to the other roles, because a lot of these settings may be duplicated. So an operations user is essentially your manufacturer admin, but if there are particular admins that only work on the sales side or only on the inventory side, this gives you a little bit of control over their permissions. So you can control whether this operations user can create and manage events. You can control whether they can create new inventory. You can allow them to edit container catalog numbers. We can edit catalog numbers as well. Allow them to remove expiration dates. So a lot of this is just, what degree of inventory control do you want to give this user? And what degree of control over the events do you want to give them? Next, do you want to allow them to adjust inventory by making stock adjustments? Do you want to allow them to do inventory movement, create shipping labels, manage the directory, manage facility pricing, manage users, creating and managing existing users, and then updating those user level settings, managing integrations, and then reporting permissions. So as you can see, this really allows you to select what areas of the system this user will be able to work in. If you turn off the ones related to events, they're going to be really hamstrung and not be able to create cases or make sales. So these were pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to dive in deeper. It really just controls what areas of the system this user will be able to have control over. So we'll go back to users and we will open up a distributor. So when we're talking about distributor and sales users, their settings are a little bit more tailored to, the activity that they're doing in the field. So do you want to allow them to modify prices? Contract pricing typically forces a price onto the sales order, but this allows them to make modifications to the price if the price doesn't look right to them. You can require them to add patient stickers or device labels to the case. So this would require that they make that upload before the case can be submitted for billing. This allows them to create shipping labels. So it allows them to use the organization's shipping account as long as it's connected to create shipping labels within the system. You can allow them to modify their replenishment requests. A lot of companies like to maintain control over their trays, so they don't want people managing custom bills of materials. But if users have surgeons that require particular tray configurations, this could be useful to enable for users. Directory is another one. Some manufacturers like to keep really tight control over their physicians, their facilities, procedures, and all of that contact information, but you can allow users to create their own. You can allow users to view contract prices. So not editing the prices, but this allows them to look up what the contract prices are. You can allow distributor users to create their own sales users if you turn this on, or manage existing users. You can allow them to view commissions for themselves and the users assigned to them. And then you can give them reporting capabilities. Then the last one here, quick transfers, is an inventory movement feature that we've added that we will cover in another video. This allows users to basically use forward stocking locations to transfer themselves inventory. So if I turn on quick transfer and add users here, my user here, my distributor, would be able to transfer himself inventory from any of these custodians I'm selecting automatically, and it'll automatically be accepted. So he can kind of just steal inventory from these custodians, but I'm allowing him to do so. So the idea here is that you would set up, custodian only, like warehouse users that could be connected as quick transfer locations. So if this user can't receive a shipment in time, maybe he can go get inventory from these forward stocking locations to fill that gap. So those are all of the settings that pertain to a distributor. And let's just take a look at the sales user. All right, I will also just give an honorable mention down in the assign users section that there is a setting in every distributor account once they have sales users assigned that allows them to share distributor inventory. This essentially means that all of the sales users connected to the distributor would be able to use that distributor's inventory as if it was their own. This allows you to transfer all of the inventory to the distributor so that they don't have to do a ton of transfers internally to their distributorship. So if they're handing off inventory a lot, then they don't need to do a transfer every time that happens. So in order to enable that, you just turn on that setting. So that is our training on settings. Tune back into our next training for more information.